There you go.
Fantastic. It looks like we're there. We're live. I can't confirm if it's recording. I doubt you could see it on your end.
Yeah, I think it should be recording. It backs up onto YouTube, I think.
Yeah, there's no button here that says anything. So we'll just trust in it and go with that. And welcome, anyone tuning in right now. This is Tim, broadcasting from Fevik, Norway, all the way to Portugal, where we've got Rute and Filipe, who I've been just overjoyed to have spent time with here the last week. And we decided to come together and share this. They are a nature-loving couple whose dream is helping others achieve a sustainable life of abundance in harmony with nature. And they believe that the more we flood the internet with valuable content, knowledge, support, and tools about how to live a sustainable life while finding your purpose, the easier it will be for people able to make positive change in their lifestyles and consequently our ultimate community, this planet that we live on. So welcome, Filipe.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It is so good to be able to talk to you again and spread the word using the internet, which is an amazing tool. So I'm so happy that we're doing this.
Likewise, systems, right? That's somewhat the emphasis of what I wanted to ask you about in terms of how you guys have been able to implement systems to be able to build and grow together the way you are. Can you just basically start sharing with us what the story begins?
Well, I think it started really, it's easier to understand if we get a little bit of our background of maybe how we got started or what our needs were that put us in this position. Which is something really interesting is that if you really listen to the problems that you have around you, it's actually a really valuable thing because you'll realize what you need. And I think a lot of us, we get really caught up in this whole thing of go-getters and you have to go and get this and get that, and because we want it. But there's a big difference between wanting and needing. So it started a lot with that. We wanted to get our life started as a young couple. We wanted to be able to see each other as much as possible. And at one point we ended up immigrating to Canada, which is the opposite of what we wanted. We didn't want to be away from people. We wanted to be with our people. We wanted to be close to our family and friends. And we felt that our circumstances were pushing us in the opposite direction. So at one point we ended having with very different schedules. So we would only see each other usually a couple of hours every day, and then really trying to do something together on the weekends. And I think that's a struggle that's really common with most couples. Everybody has very singular dreams. They usually go, it feels like it's a very solo endeavor. But in our case, we kind of understood that we did have different tastes and we did have different priorities in life and career-wise, but that sometimes that they did mingle. They were points in common in which both of us wanted to go into and investigate and grow. So we just decided to take that on. Let's look at the things that are in common that we really, really, really value and put those as our top priorities. And then let the more individual things just branch out from there so that we also had the space to grow as individuals, but also as a couple and as a group. Because it's easier if you're not by yourself. It's easier if you feel like you have someone there to kind of help you or to make you go do that thing that you don't really feel like doing. But now you're living with your partner, and it's not just your life partner, it's your work partner. So it turned into a really interesting thing, and it all came out from us being away from it all. So that problem really sparked something that made us realize what our real priorities were. And so the whole system just kind of started to fall into place. We found, the internet was very, very logical solution because we were using it to contact our friends and family and to try to put our word out and just share our opinions. So we figured that would be the best way to address these problems that other people might be having, and together maybe come up with a solution. Not one singular solution, but many solutions for every type of scenario. And so we thought that the system was very, very malleable in that sense. So we inadvertently ended up
It's like a
getting,
megaphone, right? It's like something that
like a big speakerphone, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gave us the freedom to start pursuing things that we wanted to do while still on our jobs, and we felt that we had something to come back to and work together even after we were coming back from our day jobs. And we were tired and all that, but it was that little excitement. Oh, now I get to go and do that really cool thing that I want to get started with that really cool person that I happen to live with, which is amazing. So we just kind of managed to blend it together. So yeah, like really just kind of in a general way,
That's pretty much it.
things just kind of started falling into place like that.
And it actually got started outside of Portugal, correct? You guys were in Canada at the time?
Yeah, we've always lived here in Portugal. We met in high school, really, really close friends. And then as we moved on to college and then we started to try to figure out who we were and what we wanted to do with our lives, we started to come across all these obstacles that really made us ask hard questions. And I think that's important to like start to face up those issues, whatever problems we have, and really ask questions, because it'll get our mind working in the solution getting.
Ideas are powerful, right?
Yeah, you start to get more ideas, you start to think in parallel to the problems and not just keep hitting the same one. And so what happened was we had to go away in order to find that in Portugal we had everything we needed, because we felt that here we didn't have the circumstances or the economy to do what we wanted to do, and that we were just going to be amongst thousands of other people our age that were struggling, doing the same things, just finding menial jobs just to get by, and really feeling unsatisfied with life. And so we felt that we needed to leave, and we did. We left in 2000.
And we learned a lot.
We learned a lot. We don't regret it.
I don't regret it at all.
Because, yeah, in order for us to come back, we had to leave.
Exactly.
And the coming back was one of the best things that could have happened to us. So leaving was necessary for that to happen. But it was a very neat experience.
Did implementing the system in Portugal, or did you actually get that started in Canada and then bring it back to Portugal?
Yeah, we started in Canada because once we were there, we realized, okay, this is not what we want. Then we went into, okay, let's find a solution. And actually, your brother was the one that told us about Empower Network and the system, and he was thinking about using it for himself for his business. He's a vet, and we thought, I mean, this has such good potential, and it had so good potential that we didn't even know what we wanted to do with it yet.
We didn't have the right right knowledge to implement what we wanted, right?
And we didn't have the clarity. That one came later. For some people, it goes the other way around. They have a very clear vision, and they just need to get the tools in order to start applying that. With us, it was the opposite. We saw the potential of the tools and the potential of the community online that was getting built around Empower Network and the system, but we didn't really understand where we wanted that to lead us. So that came along as we grew, and we saw the tools and realized, oh, this is good for this. Oh, this way I can get my message out. Or this way I can start creating community.
And the idea evolved, right? It was like
it
started like we had an idea what we could, like the tools that we had in our hands, right? And then the idea started growing, and we started seeing like the potential of everything all together, especially all together, because we believe in closed circles, right? Closed cycles. It's like no loose ends, right? So everything is connected to each other. And even so, we are lovers of nature, which we are lovers of sharing. Like we believe that love is when you share with other people, right? And in this case, like we have a lot of value and we have a lot of knowledge now in our hands that we can share with other people, and we can learn with other people. So this is a closed cycle that we are now. It's the learning and the sharing. And the internet is perfect for that, because we can, like, usually nature lovers stay like especially in Portugal, I see that a lot of like small communities everywhere. Everybody knows each other, but they don't have the right tools on their hands to connect each other and share all that potential all together as one.
And really maximize it, just because everybody's so together, and even though you're 5,000 miles away, you can still work together.
Yeah.
For us, that was one of the major things, and I think that's why it started in Canada. because that's when we felt the need, and we really felt that pain of being away and feeling like the circumstances were dictating our lives and not the other way around. We weren't dictating our circumstances, we just kind of letting it go. And so we realized that the internet was really like this amazing web that you could just start weaving slowly, and it builds up exponentially. And everybody's unique, but everybody really going through the same things in their own way.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
So for us, when we saw that, and we saw that with so many different people from Empower Network, that they were joining for all kinds of different reasons. They were coming from backgrounds, and we thought, wow, like so much diversity. How much knowledge can we just be able to share, just because we're now connected in this global thread? And it's like you say, there was a lot of people, we love nature, but we also love technology and these tools that bring everything together, because it will make the offline stuff maximized.
Exactly.
It will just impact more whatever you're doing off-site. I'm not telling people to go online and be in front of the computer all the time. I know that actually a lot of people tend to fall into that trap of, how do you say it? They preach the dream, but they're living the nightmare. And it's really about finding that balance. You do
for yourself
and for other people, right? You do what you love, and you help people do the same thing, so it's not hard. So it's a fun-loving thing, and you wake up every day and you want to go do it. Because you know that on the other side of the screen, you have someone else going through the same things. You don't feel alone anymore. And online stuff can be really lonely. So we love the whole community thing. And it was thanks to that we were able to come back to Portugal and really have the guts to come back. A lot of people were saying, "Are you crazy? You're going to head back to Portugal? They have an economic crisis right now. It's so corrupt government and all this conversation."
But that's the switch that we need to share with people. It's like, okay, yes, it's not the easiest way. The easiest way is staying in your day job, having that amount of money every single month that keeps you going. The easiest way, it's not jumping to your dream, but it's the one that you will be better at, because it's your dream, it's your willing. You know, where's the will, there's a way, you know? So if you are willing to do something, and if you believe in something, you just need to jump into it, and you just need to do it right away, because it's not going to be the easiest way. You're going to find a lot of challenges, but you're going to feel way more rewarded afterwards. You know, it's going to be like something that comes from within. You know,
to find problems. Problems are everybody's way of life. That's how everybody earns a living, is by solving problems for other people. So any challenge that we'll find along the way, I think it's important to remember that a problem is a good thing. It'll tell you all these little things that you wouldn't have figured out otherwise. It's just feedback. And we had to struggle with that. You know, when problems come along the way, like, you know, people saying that we're crazy going back to Portugal, and you know, that we should just, you know, apply for a credit card and a mortgage and buy a property in Toronto, because the real estate is crazy right now and you should totally do it. And that's fine. I mean, if you like that, you can go ahead. But I think it's important to have a platform and a system that allows people to not just go through that mainstream and really diversify. It's also a way of not saturating a specific thing, because that if there's too much of anything, it'll be bad. So one of the main things that I was appealing about the system was the immense variety, and the possibilities are infinite when a system can be adjusted to your needs. I think that's really fantastic.
Well, I think you guys are fantastic. The word that comes to mind as I listen to you is pillars. I'll lift the camera here a little bit. You can see this Brooklyn Bridge in New York City behind me. I have this bridge building. The traditional bridge is built between two pillars. And each of you strike something so strong in yourselves. But what I love here is this bridging between two strong pillars: your love, your marriage, your family, and then you're also doing it from different locations, right? Canada, Portugal, and now I'm in Norway. So literally this live stream is bridging at this very moment. And it's such a hopeful story. And I'm so thrilled that you guys are sharing it, because ultimately I think that's really what the technology brings to nature. is our ability to further build sustainability and connection and bridge, right? Bridge for a seed or for a person or for a couple or for a family or for humanity. Build bridges, right, that strengthen us.
Yeah, it's all about building bridges and connecting in a cooperative way, not necessarily in a competition way. And it's really funny because once you start to see these patterns occur, it'll be really easy for you to read your environment and understand which direction it's going even before you see any results. Like I'll give you an example. Because of the whole, very nature loving, we really want to develop tools and online platforms and anything that people might need to transition to a more sustainable lifestyle. We like to push the limits of what sustainability really means. And we learned that forests and trees actually do communicate through an invisible web of tiny little roots that connect through the entire forest. And they speak to each other, they send information to each other, they'll send nutrients to each other in order to thrive as a whole.
Through mycelium, right?
Through mycelium, not just the roots of the actual trees and plants, but even tinier roots by fungi that cover the entire underground forests. And it's interesting because I think we've, as humans, finally reached that level where the communication and the share of information and the cooperation and the abundance can occur very way beyond our physical outreach. We were very limited into how far we could actually reach physically, but the internet feels like it's one of those webs underneath the forest that just helps connect everything so that if there's an excess of something here or a lack of something here, we know where to get it. The connection is made. So everything grows together as one big forest full of all kinds of diverse people.
Variety.
All kinds of diverse people. It's not just good for one or for the other or exclusive. It's inclusive. Include anybody who just wants to operate under that system. And we found that parallel, and it was really cool how we start to see patterns like that. Once we start to pay attention and realizing that those little problems that do come up also make us want to connect more. Because we know that no man is an island. We can't do everything. It's impossible.
That's actually a good point.
So
Because
it's good to have this community.
Yeah.
So it's important to have this community so that you can still do what you want to do, knowing that you're contributing to other people and vice versa. Because that's pushing the boundaries of sustainability. Sustainability is not just being able to grow your own food and doing everything you need for yourself by yourself. It's to do that and do the same thing for others, and others will do that for you, and you'll have multiple times what you would ever be able to do by yourself. So I think it goes along those lines, a very sustainable online platform.
Yeah, and as I was saying, like us as a couple, we are a couple and we have the same interests, but we have different potentials. We are individuals inside of the couple, so we complement each other. So I'm probably better at some things that she is, and vice versa. So that we can have we're a team that it's complete, like we complement each other. We can do projects where I can take care of one part and she can take care of another part, and there's projects that we can be both working on it, and we are the minds behind it, but we have different expertise and different natural
Yeah, it brings more richness.
Potential,
It brings more richness to anything you come into, if you can connect, right?
But that's it, right?
Exactly.
That's it, right? The two of you, the success of you doing that is an example to inspire others, ourselves, but also with you, right? It's a bridge building is the best I can picture it.
It's all about bridges, yeah.
Yeah, but you've just given me a whole new awareness, which is that those bridges are built under the surface, underground in the root systems, just as much as they are with the branches reaching out to the sun and stretching out to reach the neighbors.
Yeah, it's growth in all directions, right? It's indiscriminate growth in any direction, because no piece of knowledge is useless. Sometimes it's our knowledge about that piece of knowledge that is lacking. So a lot of times information comes my way or knowledge comes my way that I don't even pay attention to until I feel the need for it, or until I realize what it can do for me. And I feel with the internet, because it's such a new thing, it is relatively new in terms of generation. I mean, it is brand new. And so society's still getting used to this new thing. And it does take a little getting used to, but the potential is there. And once there's enough context, which I believe is really, really important, hence the very important content that is useful for people, that helps them figure out their own problems and literally give them the keys to that vehicle that they need. And now you drive. I'm not driving you where you don't want to go. You grab the car, you drive it yourself. But here are the keys. But if they don't know what those keys are for, or if they don't know what a car is for, then they won't see the potential in it or what it could do for them. So I feel that we're now going onto that threshold where people are really realizing what something as simple as a blog can do. It can just really, like what you're saying, it's like this speakerphone where you can whisper, but if you do it right, and it's not hard, it can have a massive outreach.
Well, the only right way to do it is it's going, like, looking into yourself and seeing what you feel and what your values are, right? And that's what you speak. If you're true to yourself, you're going to be true to others. You know, you need to find your inner peace to share it with other people.
Really well said. Really. I'm so glad you stuck that in, because that integrity, right? And also transparency, so key. Let me ask you this: advice would you give to other couples who are choosing to build something together?
Okay, couples, the one thing about couples, which can be a challenge, but also can be very interesting, is especially with the new way of how, you know, your work and your family life and your personal life blend. Up a few years ago, that didn't happen. You know, you go to work and your work was at work, and you come home and you forget about work, and you were at work and you forget about home. You're supposed to keep things separate. We know that's not true. We know that it is impossible. Everything will influence everything else. So when that happened as a couple, and that gets maximized even further. So it is important to realize these patterns in our partner, to realize that they're not only your partner, and now you have to ask them, how was work? You know how was work, because you were there the whole time.
Sharing that experience,
that whole experience,
growing,
and in your own perspective. So it can be difficult because we can get caught up in our own stuff, because now we're always in the same context of we're a couple, but now we're working together, and it can overload sometimes. It can be tiring. That's why I think it is good for people not to forget when they're a couple that they're still individuals, and that one individual's dreams or flaws does not reflect on the other person, and it doesn't have to affect you. It can just be something that you observe on the other person, and say, listen, okay, this is going on, or this is not working, or we need to change the way that we work, or we have to change the way that we talk about work. And you can even establish different levels of relationship. We're working, we're co-workers, we're best friends, but that never changes. And we're talking about work, and we are, how shall I put this? We try not to bring in one problem when something else comes up.
Because it piles up really easily.
Because it's really easy to pile up.
Yeah.
So the life is blended. Our personal life and our work life, because we love what we do and we're doing what we love, then it will be personal, very personal all the time. But it's not just about me. Yeah. It's not just about him. There's something bigger than that. And that helps you be a little bit more humble. And rather than us looking into our problems or how I was pissed off because this wasn't working, and now because I'm so okay with being around him, I can just lash out, yeah. And that will be taken over to the home. and then it can affect the place there.
That's where you need the personal development.
That's where you need the personal development.
That was like probably our biggest struggle by working together as a couple, is because we know each other so well, and we love each other so much.
We know what buttons to push.
That we know what buttons to push, and not just that, but everything else. Like you usually in a regular person's life, they go to work for most of the day, and then they come home and they have those few hours to spend with their partner, and that's okay. Here we have to spend the entire day, the entire night, the entire time together. It's a plus. However, we need to get used to deal with each other in a permanent level.
And in different contexts. It's understanding different contexts, because one person is very multifaceted. So the person that will come home to you after a day job will be very different from the person that was working with you, if you now share that workspace. So it's important for them to feel safe as individuals, both in home and being able to be alone. That is very important, because you don't want to saturate it. It's good to go out and have fun with other friends and bring in new energies and new topics of conversation and new experiences for you to share with your partner. And it's really good to keep those communication doors open for feedback. Just, today the day wasn't good. I know I must have lashed out, I'll try to do better.
Truth
just
is
really
the key,
based
right?
on truth and
like if you
good
pile up stuff inside of you, later on they will come out, because you're going to spend the entire day with your partner, working with them. So you need to be able to release
the pressure.
In the end of the day, making we did I really like that experience when we were learning permaculture. We had the circle of the sharing circle. So every single morning we would open the circle, and everybody would be allowed to, with no judgment, to say what went wrong, what went good the previous day,
what could have been bothering them.
Exactly.
Just simple things
they could
to
just
important things.
Speak talking about it, release it from within.
Just having a safe space, I think, would be the biggest suggestion I would have for couples. A safe space to share and to keep tweaking on those different contexts of relationship. I know, at work we had this little issue. Maybe next time we can solve it like this or like that, and not have it be made about us not being targets of anything personal, because that can happen very often when we're very close to people. Anything that they can say can hurt our feelings, but that's just because we love them that much more. So if we keep that in mind, then it's really easy to be compassionate about any little flaw, whether it be at home or at work. And if you apply that to your coworkers, whether you're lucky enough to work with your partner or not, understanding the different contexts of relationships, and that people are so complex, just as much as we are, then we feel a little bit more empathy towards them, and it doesn't build up like that anymore. And
don't forget that it's really important, as well as we are a couple and we work as a couple, but our goal is to bring as many people surrounding us as possible, so we can have this massive web, right, with people as well. So we can have different abilities, different people with different abilities, that can bring another point of view to our project or to our life, right? So bringing couples to this couple, bringing people around us is really important as well. Don't forget that we're not a close circle here.
Yeah, exactly.
We are just two people in this world. We have 7 billion more. So the important part is connecting to everybody and sharing the emotion, the love, making people feel good about themselves, making people feel sustainable in all the ways, not just growing your food,
in every
which
way,
is important,
personally,
right?
financially, emotionally.
Everything.
It needs to be something sustainable. And the whole thing about us being together, but also operating as individuals. It's that those two things that seem like they're paradoxes, but they actually will only work if you do them at the same time. You are your own individual, but you're an individual inserted in a context. And you can be different people, because you will adjust to different people, and you will adjust to different contexts, and that will make you more flexible. And that is really good. I think there's a lot of struggle to try to keep your own identity as a couple. There's all that fear of you morphing into this other person, and then you don't know which one part of the couple ends, the other one begins. And I don't think that is necessarily a concern.
Yeah.
If you're being true to yourself, you not feel like you're being forced to change. But if you want to do these changes here and there because you think the other person deserves it. And so I think that makes the whole process much more proactive and healthy and happy, because it's just you evolving so that you fit into this context better and it adapts to you as well. Also the impact that we have on other people. So if you do both, if you're just true to yourself and do it with the best intention possible towards other people, there's really nothing that can go wrong, because anything that'll go wrong will just be seen as another opportunity to get better.
Really well highlighted, guys. I could go on and on. I would just love to hear. I'm sorry. To practice speaking here. I hear myself twice.
Oh yeah.
It's a little
No,
discouraging.
we're hearing you very well.
Thank you. Fantastic. I love what you shared. I love the time we've had together in person to get to know even more deeply that what you're sharing is like through and through, to the core who you are. And I've seen your efforts in the yard, in the garden, in nature around you. I hear listening. I pull that out of what you shared, that how critically important it is for a couple to be able to listen, and also for couples to be able to listen to the surrounding world and environment around us. And it brought to mind one small analogy. It's somewhat of a spiritual perspective, but it really applies here, I believe, that a couple is like a single cell in the heart of God. So I throw that out as something that's really impressed itself upon me, that in my union with my wife, there's a common heartbeat to be found. Without surrendering our individuality, there's somewhat of a third experience beyond she and me, where we share a single heartbeat. Could be thought of as a sound or a rhythm or a tone. Yeah. And then when I stretch it out further, it's this imagination of being a single cell in our own physical human heart, or maybe in a larger heart, as we've touched upon with nature, that we do share a common heartbeat. And we all have to learn to dance together to a certain tone and rhythm of music.
Yeah, it's all it is. We're just, going along with the rhythms and the patterns that show up in our life. And it's really just about listening and observing and understanding that we all are really one, but individually. We're all the same. Like the one cell will split into two, that will split into four, that will split into 8, and it will exponentially grow like that. It'll still have individual cells, or the beehive will be a super organism. It will behave and think as one, but you still have those individual bees doing their individual jobs and being their own individual bees, but coming together and coordinating their whole little dance and the way they communicate. It's what makes the hive thrive. It's not the search for just the individualistic validation or who's better than who, because we're all really the same, trying to achieve the same thing in just different ways. We'll express it in different words, but we all have the same heart, like you said. And if we remember that, especially in the toughest of times, then it's that thing, we'll feel more empathy for that, because we'll understand that that person I'm looking at, who I cannot stand right now, is just me on a really, really bad day. So who is to say that you won't need that kind of understanding when you're having a very, very hard day? It'll probably make it much better. So once we flip the tables around, it's really just like looking in the mirror. And so whatever you do, the mirror will reflect that back. And once we keep that in mind, everything will run rather smoothly, along with all the little bumps, obviously. Those are good. I always find those really good. They make it more fun.
Thanks to both Rute and Filipe. You are such a shining star example, a light reaching out and inspiring me here in Norway, and I'm sure anyone else who's tuning into this right now. Those of us who are really attracted to nature, no doubt will be attracted to you and your love of nature, because ultimately, the way I like to put it is that together we overcome.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for the invite. Love being able to talk to you again, and it was so nice having you here for the past week. And I hope you take that over to Norway and just go everywhere with it. And again, bringing people together, I think, is really the main focus on what we're doing. Really, it's just about bringing people together and having them realize their own potential.
Yeah, we have a system to do just that, and here you.
That's right.
Again, a shining star example of how we can use all of this technology to benefit nature and help each of us individually, including nature herself, to find full expression. So thank you from Norway.
Thank you so much from Portugal.
Thank you.
Till next time, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.